Coming up, the Biden administration has introduced new Title IX regulations to ensure transgender athletes have a place in school sports. The two exceptions to the White House's proposal. And two House Democrats in Tennessee have been expelled from the chamber, an action only enforced a handful of times since the Civil War. The Daily Rundown starts now. This is Straight Arrow News, bringing you unbiased, straight facts. I'm Kara Rucker. The Biden administration is proposing new rules stopping schools and colleges across the country from enacting outright bans on transgender athletes. It updates federal law known as Title IX, which ensures students aren't discriminated against based on sex. The proposal does have some exceptions, allowing K-12 schools and universities to restrict in some cases where the participation of a transgender student undermines fairness on the field or could lead to injuries. The legislation comes in response to 20 states enacting bans on trans athletes from participating in women's and girls' sports. Kansas being the latest state to do so after overriding the Democratic governor's veto this week.
This has been one of the worst weeks of 2023 so far in terms of anti-LGBTQ bills becoming law in states across America. I know that these political attacks can really take toll on people's mental health. So I want to say directly to LGBTQI plus kids, you are loved just as you are.
The Tennessee House has voted to expel two Democratic lawmakers over their role in gun reform protests that interrupted proceedings last week. The rare move has only happened to 8 lawmakers since the Civil War. The GOP-led House voted to expel State Representatives Justin Jones and Justin Pearson for disorderly behavior and dishonor after leading chants with gun control protesters last week from the House floor. Representative Gloria Johnson, who is also part of the protest, was not expelled over her participation. The protest came just days after the deadly Nashville school shooting.
You say to protest is wrong because you spoke out of turn, because you spoke up for people who are marginalized. You spoke up for children who won't ever be able to speak again. You spoke up for parents who don't want to live in fear. You spoke up for Larry Thorne, who was murdered by gun violence. You spoke up for people that we don't want to care about.
The ousted representatives will still be able to run for their seats when a special election is held. President Biden took to Twitter, calling the decision shocking, undemocratic, and without precedent. The Israeli military launched rare airstrikes into Lebanon early Friday morning, just hours after it struck opposition targets in the Gaza Strip. Both series of attacks were in retaliation after Palestinian militants in Gaza fired rockets into southern Israel, and a series of rockets was fired from Lebanon into northern Israel. The latest Israeli airstrikes into Lebanon are sparking fears of a broader conflict. The timing is significant as thousands of worshipers gather in Jerusalem during Holy Week. This week's escalation is seen as the most serious violence since Israel's war with Lebanon militants in 2006. The IRS has announced what the agency plans to do with the $80 billion investment from Democrats' Inflation Reduction Act that was signed by President Biden last summer. The IRS plans to hire nearly 30,000 new employees over the next 2 years. The new funding will go toward 2 top objectives. One is improving customer service. The second is an investment into more tax audits on the wealthy. 60% of the $80 billion will go toward expanding these enforcement efforts. Republicans have called the IRS new hires as an army of agents to increase tax audits. There is discussion on Capitol Hill to repeal the IRS funding as part of the GOP's negotiations for raising the debt ceiling. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner has determined rapper Coolio died from an accidental fentanyl overdose. The rapper died at a friend's home in Los Angeles September of last year. He was found on the bathroom floor. According to the coroner, Coolio had fentanyl, heroin, and meth in his system. According to the CDC, fentanyl overdoses is the cause of 150 deaths every day in the U.S.
It's going to hurt everybody here. Not only the business for the sport fishing boats and captains, but also the hotels the restaurants, tackle stores, everybody that leads into sport fishing, they are going to be impacted also.
A federal regulatory group has voted to officially close king salmon fishing season along much of the West Coast after near record low numbers of the fish returned to California's rivers last year. The closure of the 2023 season will impact all commercial and most recreational salmon fishing along the coast. The fishing ban marked only the second time in state history that California had canceled its salmon fishing season, with the last ban taking place between 2008 and 2009, also due to drought conditions. Biologists say the salmon population has been in dramatic decline after years of drought. Thanks for watching the Daily Rundown. We're on a mission to bring back trustworthy journalism by serving only you, not an agenda. Be sure to check out more of our work at straightarrownews.com. We'll see you back here next week. Until then, I'm Kara Rucker. Have a great day.